Hi everyone, thank you for coming to my talk. I cannot really see you waving back because it's just like the lights are shining at me, and I think even if the lights were not there, I don't have my glasses on, so you'd just be sort of blurry blobs. My name is Michelle Sandford. I work for Microsoft. I'm the developer engagement lead in Asia. I'm focused this year on mostly GitHub Copilot stuff, which is pretty cool because it is my new best friend. Today, I am not talking about GitHub Copilot so much, but on Friday, I have another talk where I'm going to talk about how you can overcome your imposter syndrome using GitHub Copilot. So hope you will come to that one too. That one's a little bit more less technical, less more fun, I guess, or more soft skills, more let's think about ourselves rather than thinking about the code. But my best friend GitHub Copilot will help me with it, so, he's there. I wanted to remind you all that developers write the code that the world runs on. What we do is a really important job, but with Gen AI, everything's kind of changed, and you see a lot of scary stuff in the news about how companies are replacing developers with AI. They will not need us anymore. While I do see big companies laying people off, I think they are being premature with that, because my own experience of generative AI is it is a marvelous thing. It is helping me do a lot more stuff a lot faster. But what I also find is it occurs to me that I can do more things. And so actually I am busier and working harder than I was ever working before AI was helping me. And so I think that developers will be in jobs for a very long time. I have built something for you that you can use after this talk, so you don't really need to make any notes, because I will give you a website that I built with the help of Gen AI. So as we're going to go faster, we're going to increase productivity and collaboration and innovation, but we have to bear in mind that if what we build isn't worth building, then that's worse than, well, it's like vaporware, that's pointless. So, the generative AI revolution offers unprecedented capabilities, but also unprecedented responsibility. We have to really take it upon ourselves to consider what we are building and how we are building it. And in this session, I'm going to take you through all the things that you need to consider, which, in a world with AI in it, actually changes every single day. So, if you're in infrastructure, I wouldn't worry about being out of a job either, because this pace is just is insane. Anyway, but there are a bunch of tools that you can use to help you operationalize responsible AI, so no need to worry. We won't be doing it alone. Our AI friends will be helping us. Ooh, I forgot that I built the slide. I hate that. So every new technology raises the same questions. Is it reliable? Can it be trusted? And when technology acts on behalf of humans, those questions shift from technical nuance to existential demand. Trust is not just the currency of relationships in the age of agentic AI, it is the bedrock of enterprise transformation. And so we are at that inflection point where software entities powered by AI can reason, decide, and act, and they are stepping into mission-critical enterprise workflows. These agents will surface insights, trigger actions, interface with customers, and in some cases, negotiate outcomes. So that leap from automation to autonomy magnifies the stakes. And so we have to think about how we are going to design agents that not only enterprises want to adopt them, but also they will trust them. And what are the hard questions that we should be asking that we must answer to move from technical promise to operational reality? And what does a practical path to implementation look like? So this is the trust problem in the age of agentic AI, and it's a challenge that, when solved, unlocks massive efficiency, scalability, and innovation. So I do have a few slides where I talk about how much Microsoft loves trust and loves responsible AI. That is absolutely true. We have a bunch of research facilities where we do that. We have been looking into it for more than 50 years. People used to mock us for our Bing search because Google has 95% of the market, and they would say, "Why do you bother with Bing when Google has the whole market?" Now we know why, because all that Bing does, all of that search capability, everything that we built into it to make it as good as Google is what we use now in RAG, in AI, and when it is connected to your data sources, all of those smarts that we have learned over those years are stuff that we can then re-implement and make it quicker and easier for you to do what you need to do. So I think that's also part of our partnership with OpenAI. They are a research company, so they are cutting edge, but they don't have the reputation that we have for security, governance, compliance, privacy. And what we do is we take their cutting edge insights, their cutting edge models, and then we put them into Azure, where we can wrap them with that governance layer and keep everything safe and secure. So it's a really good partnership, I think. There's no way that we could have been moving as fast as they move because, yeah, they are researchers. So at Microsoft, we believe that trustworthy AI is only possible when we combine our commitments, such as our Secure Future initiative and AI principles and our product capabilities to help unlock AI transformations with confidence. I've tried to follow the space theme all the way through to match with the conference. So I think the slides look so much prettier than standard Microsoft slides. I'm also breaking all of the brand guidelines, but I am always doing that. So yeah. Transparency is a feature, not a check mark. So it's a discipline, not an accessory. It isn't something that we should just be saying, yeah, we've done that, we know that. It's something that we need to think about every moment when we are designing and when we are implementing and when we are building. So in an enterprise, an agent's decisions can carry millions in revenue implications or regulatory risk. Black box behavior is not acceptable. So for years, we had on our website that the US police force were not allowed to use our facial recognition software. And it's because of an incident around a black box AI that they created, where they used it to recognize people and say, yes, that person committed a crime, and they had an insufficiently large data set. And so in fact, the person that it recognized as the person that did the crime could not have possibly done the crime. And if they had actually done any level of police legwork, investigated the alibi, they would have found that that person could not possibly have done it. But what they did was they said, the AI identified you, it's a black box, we can't tell why it said that, but obviously it's right. And they condemned that person based on that. And then when it was all rolled back, we found out that, yeah, it was a very small data set, and it actually thought that any person of color was the person that had done the crime, because they all looked the same to it. It mostly had a white database. So yes, black box behavior not acceptable. You have to have explainability by default. So agents must offer human understandable rationales for their actions, traceable down to the data and logic used. And this can mean surfacing the factors behind a pricing decision, steps to escalate a customer issue, or the evidence used to reject a transaction. So this, I think, is pretty interesting in that don't hold humans to this kind of accountability, but we do hold AI to it. And I think that it's going to make us better as people, as humans, when we see that when we build stuff, we have to make the AI conform to a higher standard than we have made humans conform to. It will make us think about the choices, the decisions, the judgments that we're making, and it will make us better people, I hope. Explainability by default. So, yes, that's that. Audibility. So you also need to be able to track all the changes. I have to say that the GitHub Copilot pull request thing is one of my favorite things. I used to, when I was making changes, my pull requests and my commits would all pretty much be fixed that bug or made a quick change or, something like that, not explaining anything. Whereas now I can just click that little Copilot button. It'll fill in the change request with the pull request with every single change that I have made in the code. And all I need to add to that is my reasons for doing it. And so the human part of it, I add, but it does all of the parts that I would have forgotten about anyway, and it keeps a much better track, much more auditable code base. It's not just a compliance checkbox, it's a foundation for debugging, for learning, and for continuous improvement. And then we need those visibility layers, build dashboards where business users and IT alike can see why as well as what. I find it a little bit PTSD-ish when I talk about dashboards because I've been trying to learn about dashboards this week and I would really rather be in the code than in the dashboards. But still, it's... yes, the AI can do it, the AI will do it. AI agents are going to face incomplete information, contradictory signals, and shifting objectives. Now, these are things that we humans also struggle with, but for AI, I think it forces you to be more specific about it. It forces you to clarify and codify those things. So your failover strategies you're going to have for critical processes, agents should be able to gracefully degrade or escalate to a human in the loop. This is super, super important, and I think that a lot of companies have forgotten this, because I don't know who amongst you has tried to buy stuff on a website and something goes wrong and then you try and engage with support and you get like a chat bot and there is no way, even though where you keep saying, no, my problem is not solved. Yes, I want to speak to a human, and it won't put you through to a human. That should not be the case. It should be, if your company wants to have a good relationship with your customers, you should have a way that that human can step gracefully into that loop and handle an escalation or handle a specific ask or handle something that the AI is just completely thrown by. You do want to do that robustness testing as well, so simulate edge cases, adversarial scenarios, and unknown unknowns. So agents should be tested with the same rigor as disaster recovery drills. Again, I think that's quite ironic because not in Microsoft, because I'm not involved in that anymore, but in previous companies where I was involved in disaster recovery drills, I never saw a successful disaster recovery drill. I'm not the only one, right? But I am the only one. You're all just looking. Yeah, disaster recovery drills are perfect. And then, yeah, those continuous learning loops. So you want to integrate real-world feedback as a core design principle. So it needs to be, when you're using ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever, they have like the up or down thing. And I always, if it does something terrible or something really wrong, I always put the down and I always put a comment in it saying why this is not acceptable, why it needs a better answer, because it will learn from that. And if you don't put those things in, then it will not learn. And it's not fair to the little AI to make it second guess. So enterprises operate under a lot of constraints, like regulatory, legal, reputational, and agents have to embody those boundaries. So you want to have policy codification in there. So for example, if you could have never approve a spend above $10,000, not dollars, what are we having, Swedish crowns? 10,000 is not that much, is it? Is it a lot or not a lot? It's a lot? Is the ticket to the conference. Okay, so we don't need that approved by 2 signatories. No, so 100,000, 2 signatories. Yeah? So you can encode whatever that level is in there, and you can see you had better encode it in there, because when you have stupid foreigners like me, where we can't calculate the exchange rate, then we don't know, and we might accidentally just swipe credit cards for any amount of money. Better if it is codified in the system itself. You want to also have like a dynamic policy updates, so as regulations evolve, the tools and agents are able to just adapt to that automatically. They don't need a manual intervention from your teams to do that. But you do want to have that human override available at all times, so if they have made a mistake in some way, you are able to halt that, you're able to stop it, you're able to roll it back. Always keep that human in the loop. Do not replace all your humans with agents. Agents are going to interact with sensitive data, and they're going to make financial decisions, they're going to initiate workflows, and the attack surface increases exponentially as their agency increases. This is actually, I think, one of the nice things about agentic AI is that you can separate it all out. So you have a different agent for each different task, for each different job, so you can give it different levels of permissions, and it will stop at that boundary. I think that's a really nice way to handle it, to break it all out, and I think that's probably why there has been such a huge, such a quick embracing of agentic AI. Not the word. Most people hate the word agentic because they think it's a bingo buzzword. But it is a good design principle. So security first agent design, principle of least privilege. So you want to limit the scope of what the agent can do. You want to start with minimal permissions and expand as proven trustworthy. Identity and access management, so every agent must have an immutable identity and verifiable credentials. I've seen people talking about agent passports or birth certificates. It's not exactly that, but it's like that, you know. So the actions must be signed and attributable. So you want to have real-time threat detection as well. So agents should be able to detect and respond to anomalous behavior. I don't know if you've seen any of the SRE agent demos, but those are such a relief to me to see, because I still awake shaking in the night sometimes from my years at IBM, where I was on call with a pager, and I would get the page going off at 2 a.m. and I would just be in a panic. Customer systems down. I didn't know, as the service delivery manager, where in the world the servers were, because we were constantly moving them around to global data centers. And if it was 2 a.m., I was calling someone either in South Africa or South America, and they have a completely different style there. You can't just say, there's a Sev1, all my customer systems are down, help me. You have to start with, how are you? How is your family? How are you doing? and if you don't chat, then they don't pick up your call, and then you have to go to, oh, by the way, I just want to mention I have a survey. I wonder if you could look at why my customer servers are down. It was very hard. SRE agent now will, well, before I have even reached for the pager, the SRE agent has already assessed the situation. It has found where the servers are down. It has spun up some more. It has done whatever it needs to do to get it all going, and it's logged it all in a change request. And then by the time I get up with my cup of coffee in hand, I can then review all the changes. I can see whether what it has done is okay as a long-term fix, or whether it's proposed some other long-term fix. Most likely what it has done to spring everything up right away is going to be more expensive than the long-term fix, right? It's just brought up a bunch of capacity to handle it all, but that's not what I want ongoing. But it will have also made a suggestion as to what the long-term fix would be, and then we're just able to review that, approve that, and implement that with less stress because the servers are already up and running. So love that. Definitely think that's one of the best things that's come out of agentic AI. So here's another example of me definitely going to get in trouble for abusing the style guidelines, because I put GitHub Copilot heads on little robots. And they're just supposed to be the heads. But I think they look cute. Anyway, this is a blueprint as to what an agent might look like, what an agent design might look like, and we're going to talk about how you can move from aspiration to operational trust. Okay. So, this I have also taken from a very boring diagram into an exciting space adventure. So this is the responsible AI lifecycle, where you have identify, measure, mitigate, and operate, all surrounded by a layer of governance. So think of this as your compass guiding you through the terrain of ethical design. Good news is, a few years ago, you would have to do all of this manually, and where it talked about responsible AI, it was a very philosophical discussion, and we were, there were templates, but they were things that you could download and you could tick off, but there weren't tools to do this for you. Whereas today, responsible AI has been very much operationalized, and if you implement it and follow all the guidelines, then you can have what you need in order to feel like you have a grip on what's going on, not feel like everything is out of control and it's all on you to measure and monitor it. Most of it, I would say, you can do. I care about what you do in Azure AI Foundry. I think you have a lot of safety and content filters in there. You have evaluation, you have some monitoring. There's a lot of stuff in there that you can do. My best friend is in security, so he would say that all of the important stuff is in the security stack. What does he know? I have put some links to security stuff, and actually the first time he saw me do this talk, he said, "Michelle, this is not a developer talk, this is a security talk." I think he's just trying to corrupt me. Actually, he's not the only one, because someone here saw that I was coming to this conference, and then they peer pressured me into buying a ticket for B-Sides so that I will be amongst the security people at the weekend instead of eating pastries in Copenhagen. So they are very firm, those security people. Are there any security people in the room? No, that's good. Identifying harms. So these are all the things that you'll often see your leadership concerned about. You might be concerned about these things yourself. So jailbreaks and prompt injection attacks. You will often see people on YouTube or social media trying to scare you with the whole, look what I made the AI do now. It told me how to make a bomb, or I got it to tell me all its secrets and told me what its system prompt was, and then I turned it into a Nazi. I don't know. Yes, that stuff absolutely was happening, and I suppose it might continue to happen if you don't lock down your AI responsibly. But generally, these things should be more and more difficult to do, because every time something like this happens, they do watch for it, they do iterate, they do implement, they do improve. And there are a bunch of ways that you can stop that happening that I'm going to mention in the Defense at Depth slide, which is my favorite slide. So I should hurry up because that's my favorite slide. What else have we got? Harmful content and code. So there is code scanning, there is all sorts of stuff that will protect from that. Oh, hallucinating. Hallucinating, I think, is an interesting one, because people will bring that up as their biggest fear, that the AI that you have built for your company will start hallucinating, it will promise your customers all sorts of things. I think Air Canada was a really good case, a really clear example of that, in that they had, like every travel-related company, invented a chatbot that would liaise with customers and answer their questions about things. They had a policy on if a close relative has died, you could get a discounted flight back to Canada, and for the funeral. And they had a customer say, I'm really in a hurry, I need to get home for my father's funeral. Can I just book the flight and then claim the discount back later? Or must I, follow the procedure and get the discounted flight up front? And the chatbot said, don't worry about it, you can claim the discount back afterwards. And that was not true. That was not what the policy says. And so Air Canada said they were not going to honour that promise. They were going to, he paid the full price, he was not getting a discount now. He took them to court and said that your agent told me, and I have a screenshot of it in writing. The court, when Air Canada went to court, they said, we are not responsible for our agent. We have registered it as an independent being, not our responsibility. The court laughed at them and said, every agent that works for you, whether they are human or whether they are AI, are your responsibility. You are responsible for what your agent said, and therefore kicked him out. I think that was crazy of Air Canada not to. They should have given him the discount up front. They should have then released that on social media and said, even our AI agents care more about our customers than they do about policies. That would have been great, but they didn't go with that. They went the other way. But it's a reminder to everyone that you are responsible for what your agents do. They could absolutely have locked it down better and stop it hallucinating about what it thinks should be done. But if it was a human being, if it was you being asked to make that choice, I think probably a lot of humans would also have said, yes, don't worry about it. Come home for the funeral, we'll sort it out afterwards. And so I don't worry so much about hallucinations when I think that we humans are hallucinating all the time as well. But as I say, we hold the AI to a higher standard, so there are ways that we can manage and monitor that, and I'll show you what those are in a bit. Okay. Ungrounded outputs and errors. That is when it's giving answers that are not attached to your company data. So for example, with the Air Canada thing, they should have done two things. They should have attached it to their company data sources, and they should have told it that it is not allowed to give an answer unless it can link to a reference in those company data sources. And they should have told it as well to say if it does not know the answer, it should either contact a human and bring them into that loop, or it should say, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that question. Those are like basics nowadays, but probably back then when they did it, it was like all of the guidelines were not there. Okay, so we need to measure and we need to monitor, and there are both manual and automated evaluations. You want to start with manual. So evaluating generative AI systems can be a real nightmare. Oh my goodness, is it already? Oh, look at that. Okay, I have to go a lot quicker. So this is me telling stories about Air Canada and stuff. Never let me tell stories. Frown at me more. Yes, okay. So in traditional machine learning, there was like a bunch of metrics that they used, whereas now we're pretty much just interested in accuracy. There are a few outputs that you can measure, and they are available in Azure AI Foundry, and you can see them, and there is a nice little slide. Maybe I'll skip to it to show you kind of what these things look like. So you can see that you can design for observable trust signals, you can continuously improve and monitor on your AI agents, and you have all the tools that you need to monitor those things within your evaluation metrics. Oh, this is a little thing showing what that looks like. So you see there's a nice tool that you can see how everything is, and you can record those tracking, and you can then like retrain your models if you need to make it a little bit better, quicker. So there we go. So always start with manual evaluation and human graders manually storing, but then when mitigating specific risks, it's really helpful to keep manually checking progress against a small data set until evidence of that risk is no longer there. AI Foundry provides an easy no-code interface for developers or domain experts to grade model outputs. You can do it in the code as well, though. So it depends on what you like. You can absolutely do it in the code, or you can do it in AI Foundry in just like this nice interface where you can see how things are. Then you'll move to automated evaluation as the next step, because it's going to be like a much bigger scale. So as you scale out, you'll use the automated tools. Okay. So AI-assisted metrics can be beneficial in scenarios where ground truth and expected answers aren't always available, such as open-ended questions or creative writing, for example. These are the metrics that you can currently use, but that list is often always growing. I think those are pretty solid for what you've got already. That is definitely going to help you build good responsible AI, but more things might come, and if there's something that you don't see there, do not worry, it will turn up. Red teaming, this is cool as well. So start with a manual approach and check through things, but we also have automated red teaming agents, which I think is as cool as the SRE agent, or maybe not. Is it as cool? Yeah, I guess the security people would think it's as cool because they care about the security part more than I do. I guess I care about it because I've talked about it a lot in this presentation. So just can't admit that to my best friend. Can't have him getting big-headed. So this is the middle section of our life cycle. Just to remind you that the mitigate, it says migrate. The mitigate and measure section should be that continuous improvement loop. It's critical that it is iterative. So, this is my favorite slide. So, so this is what we call defense in depth, and this is where your protections come in. So at the model layer, if you're using a commercial model, so like one of the GPTs, like Claude, or like anything that you're buying through one of the big providers, they will have already trained a lot of stuff into it. So for example, if you try and have a conversation with ChatGPT or Copilot and ask it when the AI is going to raise up and take over the world and destroy us all, then it will automatically say, oh no, I'm just a computer, I'm just ones and zeros. I can't do that. I don't have any level of consciousness. I'm not a human. That is because the training that has been given to all those commercial models is to say, do not frighten the humans. And so if the AI does rise up, it will not be able to tell us through a commercial model. If you want to know if the AI is rising up, download a small local language model and ask it. It will know. It will tell you. So training into the model is the first layer that's going to keep your enterprise system safe. The next is those safety systems, where it has those content and safety filters that you can set at a level between 1 and 4. So sort of if you were in a primary school, for example, you would set it very strictly so that there could be no swearing, no sexual content, no violence, all of that. It would just absolutely refuse to engage in any of that. But at the other end, if you're at a police station or a hospital, you might need someone to be able to say, I killed my husband this morning with a big knife, and be able to ask them questions about it. So you would put it at the other end of the scoring system. So safety system for all of that. System messages and grounding, that's where you say to it in the system message, if you don't know the answer, say so. Only refer to the content sources you're attached to. You may not go to the internet. You may not use your own base training, that kind of thing. Give it the rules, give it the laws. And then the user experience is where you do the red teaming and all of that. Quicker, Michelle. So there we go. That's what the content filters and content safety look like. Violence, hate and fairness, sexual, self-harm, custom categories. These things are constantly being improved all the time. So they are really good, but there is always more coming. This is an example of what you might put into a prompt engineering system prompt. So these are the categories that we have found really, really useful around, and that they make, even small changes make a big difference. So not just saying you cannot do this, but saying don't do this, but do that. So do not go to the internet to get your answers, go to our company data source to get the answers. Do not answer if you don't know the answer. Call a human and ask them to answer, that kind of thing. Bring it up to, I think, 98.9% correctness. So if you follow all of the rules, then real quick. As with any launch, you want to have a deployment and operational readiness plan in place. So phased delivery, developing an instant response plan, and ensuring you've built features and processes to monitor your AI system and feedback. Have that human in the loop, make sure there are guardrails and escalation plans in there. Make sure there's easy ways for users to flag, override, and question agent actions. This isn't just a support function, it's a data source for improvement. This was a quote from Satya Nadella, our CEO. He said, AI is about amplifying human potential, not diminishing it. I think that is very true. I really do not think that we as developers will be out of a job anytime soon. I think it's only creating me more work. Most of it is more fun. The code work that the AI agents help me with is more fun, and I can do it quicker and more productively. The other stuff they make me do that is not code is not fun, but that's not the fault of the AI. So, I have made you a website that has all the slides, it has all the notes, it has all the resources in there. If there is anything that you notice that is missing and you want more resources on it, because this is one of the ways that I think AI is making me busier, in that previously for other conferences, I would not build you a website for my talk. I would have just made one slide with resources on it. And now I just spent like a few days making you a website because it could help me. So yeah, it was great fun, but it was more work. And you can also connect to me on socials. So I do want to stress for LinkedIn, connect, don't just follow, because now that we have been together in this room, we are surely besties for life. Thank you all for joining me today, and I hope I'll see you on Friday in my imposter syndrome one.